I caught myself doing something the other day that honestly really depressed me.
Oh no, what was it?
I dropped a pen on the floor, and before I even bent down to pick it up, I let out this little grunt. You know the exact noise I'm talking about?
Yeah, the here we go noise, the brace for impact noise.
Exactly. It's the maintenance required noise. And it got me thinking about that classic mental model of aging that I think we all just carry around with us.
Right, the car analogy.
Yeah, the car analogy. You buy a brand new car, it's shiny, the engine purrs beautifully. But you fast forward 10 years, the paint is chipping, the engine is knocking, there's rust on the undercarriage. It just feels entirely inevitable.
It does, and the idea there is that entropy always wins. I mean, in biology, we actually call that the stochastic damage theory.
Stochastic damage.
Right. It's the assumption that biological aging is just this random accumulation of breaks and tears and hardware failures over time.
Yeah.
Your body breaks down because physics, friction, time.
But that is not what we are going to be talking about today, because if that were true, if it was just wear and tear, there wouldn't be much we could do about it other than, drive slower.
Correct. Today, we're looking at a stack of research that suggests the car isn't actually breaking down because the physical parts are bad. The car is breaking down because the onboard computer is glitching out.
Which implies that aging isn't a hardware problem at all, it's a software problem.
Exactly. And the most important thing about software is that it can be debugged. You can literally reboot it.
That is a massive claim. But we have the sources to back it up. We are doing a deep dive into a really fascinating paper titled Reversing the Epigenetic Clock by biologist Enkamgalan Nazunjargal.
It's a brilliant piece of work.
It really is. And the mission for this deep dive is honestly a bit mind-bending. We're going to explore the mechanics of a built-in cleaning crew that is hiding inside your cells right now.
It's there. It's just waiting for instructions.
And supposedly, if we understand the fuel and the physics, which we're going to break down step by step for you, we can get that crew to scrub away biological aging, not just slow it down, but literally reverse the damage.
I know it sounds like hype. It sounds like a sci-fi pitch.
Yeah.
But when you strip away the flashy language, it's really just a profound shift in biochemistry. We are moving from this old idea of irreversible mutations, which you can't really fix, to the concept of reversible congestion.
Congestion. I like that word a lot better than decay, because congestion implies traffic, and traffic can clear up.
Exactly.
So let's get into the mechanics of this. The paper makes a very hard distinction between the hardware and the software. Walk me through that, because I think most people just assume their DNA is the software.
Right. That's probably the first big misconception we need to clear up. The hardware is your DNA sequence, the actual double helix, the A, C, T, G letters that make up the code.
It's a blueprint.
The blueprint, yeah. People tend to think that older people have broken DNA sequences, like the letters have degraded. But if you sequence the DNA of an 80-year-old and compare it to when they were 20, the actual text of the book hasn't changed that much at all. The blueprint is remarkably stable.
So the instructions for a youthful, healthy body are still sitting right there in the cell nucleus, even when we're old and, grunting when we pick up pens.
They are. The blueprint is totally fine. The problem is the layer sitting directly on top of the DNA. That's the epigenome. That's the software.
Okay.
Its job is to tell the cell which specific genes to read and which ones to ignore at any given time.
The paper used an analogy that really helped me visualize this whole thing. It said to imagine a perfect architectural blueprint. That's your DNA. But then, over decades of life, a chaotic project manager comes into the office and starts slapping these heavy, opaque sticky notes all over the drawing.
That's a perfect image for it. And those sticky notes are real physical things. In biology, we call them DNA methylation.
Methylation.
Yeah. They are chemical tags methyl groups that latch right onto the DNA. And they don't just land randomly everywhere. They really love to gum up specific regulatory regions called CPG islands.
Which, despite the very nice name, are not a tropical vacation spot for your cells.
Definitely not. Think of a CPG island as the on switch for a gene. And these aren't just any random genes. These are the crucial genes that suppress tumors, that regulate your blood sugar, and keep systemic inflammation down.
The really important stuff.
The life-saving stuff. When those metal tags, those sticky notes, cover up the CPG island, the switch essentially gets stuck in the off position.
So the builder, meaning the cell, looks at the blueprint, but there's a giant sticky note right over the paragraph that says how to repair the roof.
Precisely. So the roof simply doesn't get repaired. Not because the builder forgot how to do it, but because the instruction is obscured. The cell moves from a state of clear digital signal to a state of analog noise.
Noise.
Yeah, that noise is what we actually experience as getting old. It's disorganization at a cellular level.
Okay, so if the fundamental problem is just sticky notes covering up the architectural plans, the obvious question is, can we peel them off? Or is that glue permanent?
The glue is not permanent at all. Nature has a highly specific tool for exactly this. This is where we get to meet that cleaning crew you mentioned. The paper focuses heavily on a family of enzymes called TET enzymes.
1011 translocation enzymes, which I have to say, sounds exactly like a space shuttle mission.
It really does.
Mhm.
But let's just stick with TT. You can think of them as molecular magic erasers. They are actual enzymes that physically patrol up and down your DNA looking for those methyl tags that shouldn't be there anymore.
And when they find one,
When they find one, they latch on and initiate a chemical reaction to oxidize it.
oxidize it, meaning they burn it off.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
They chemically transform the methyl group. This effectively flags it as damage. The rest of the cell sees this altered tag and says, whoops, that's definitely not supposed to be there.
Then it cleans it up.
Right. It triggers a secondary system called the base excision repair pathway, which comes in, snips out the oxidized tag, and replaces it with a pristine, clean piece of DNA.
So it literally restores the genetic code to its factory settings?
It restores the youthful expression pattern. That's
Yeah.
exactly it. And what's really cool here is that there isn't just one generic type of cleaner. The paper breaks them down into these specialized targeted units.
Right, I saw that. TET1, TET2, and TET3. It's like a specialized biological task force?
Exactly. TET-T1 is heavily concentrated in the brain. It's absolutely vital for memory plasticity and learning. There's growing evidence that when TET-T1 levels drop off, that's when you start seeing that typical brain fog or the inability to learn new complex things that we usually associate with aging.
Wow, so it's not that the brain cells are dying off, it's that they're just clogged up.
Exactly. They are congested.
Okay, so that's the brain unit. What about TET2?
TT2 is the blood and tissue guardian. It's a major tumor suppressor. When you hear about older populations developing chronic, low-grade inflammation or certain types of leukemias, it's very often linked directly to PP2 going offline. The immune cells lose their instruction manual and start acting erratically.
And then there's TT3. This was the one that really stopped me in my tracks while I was reading, because the implications of what TT3 does are just wild.
It's the heavy lifter of the group. T3 is most active in zygotes like in the very, very earliest stages of embryonic life.
This is the reset button, right?
Think about the math of it. Two 40-year-old parents conceive a child. Both of their cells are 40 years old. Their DNA has 40 years worth of sticky notes and accumulated damage.
Right.
But the baby isn't born functionally 40 years old. The baby starts at day 0.
Because T3 scrubs the slate entirely clean.
Completely clean. It proves beyond a shadow of doubt that biological age is reversible. Your body already does it every single time a new life is formed. The mechanism exists.
That is incredible.
It is. The crisis of aging isn't that we lose the ability to clean. We still have the code for these TE enzymes in our genetics right now.
So why did they stop working? Why was I grunting when I picked up that pen yesterday if my body theoretically knows exactly how to be young?
Because the cleaners go dormant, they essentially fall asleep on the job.
So it's a staffing issue.
Or you could look at it as a supply chain issue.
Okay, so let's fix the supply chain. This is the really practical part of the deep dive. The paper outlines 2 main reasons the crew stops working. It's a lack of fuel and a lack of access. Let's start with the fuel side of things. What do these TE enzymes actually eat?
This gets into some really elegant biochemistry. It turns out TET enzymes are incredibly hungry for a very specific molecule called alpha-ketoglutarate, or alpha-KG for short.
Alpha-KG. I feel like I've seen that on supplement shelves, usually pushed way to the back next to the hardcore bodybuilding stuff.
You probably have. It's a fundamental metabolite. Your mitochondria, which are the power plants of your cells, produce alpha-KG as a natural byproduct of the Krebs cycle. When you're young and your metabolism is just roaring, your mitochondria pump out tons of this stuff naturally.
So the cleaning crew just has an endless buffet.
Right. But as we age, or honestly, if we're just highly sedentary, our overall mitochondrial function dips. We produce less and less alpha-KG. Suddenly, the 10ET enzymes are starving. They physically cannot perform the chemical reaction needed to remove the sticky notes. They just stall out.
The fuel line is basically cut.
Yes.
But the paper mentioned a second crucial component here. It's not just the fuel. There's a spark plug involved.
Yeah.
And this one surprised me quite a bit because it's something I usually associate with a glass of orange juice.
Vitamin C.
Yeah.
This was a huge aha moment for me too, because it completely changes how we need to view a very common everyday vitamin.
Yeah, usually the advice is just take this so you don't get a winter cold. Or, to avoid scurvy. Ideally, we are all avoiding scurvy.
Exactly, that's the baseline. But inside the cell nucleus, it plays a totally different, highly mechanical role. Okay, try to visualize the actual TET enzyme. At its very center, there was a single atom of iron.
Okay.
That iron atom is the core of the engine. It facilitates the oxidation reaction we talked about earlier. But the problem is, after it works, after it scrubs off just one sticky note, that iron atom gets oxidized itself. It rusts, in a way. It loses its electrical charge.
So the enzyme works exactly once and then just burns out.
Without outside help, yes.
Yeah.
It gets entirely useless. But vitamin C acts as an electron donor. It walks right up to that rusted iron atom and recharges it. It recycles the engine so the enzyme can go back to work immediately on the next sticky note.
That's amazing. So you could have all the alpha kg fuel in the world, your mitochondria could be firing, but if you're running low on vitamin C, your cleaning crew is just standing around with dead batteries.
Precisely. And the paper heavily implies that what we consider sufficient vitamin C just to prevent scurvy might be way, way lower than what is actually required to maintain optimal DNA demethylation over a lifetime. You need a surplus to keep those internal engines recycling constantly.
Okay, so pillar one is chemistry. You need the fuel, which is alpha kg, from a healthy active metabolism, and you need the spark vitamin C to keep the engine cycling.
Correct. But, and this is a very big but, you can have the absolute perfect chemical cocktail. You can be swimming in vitamin C and alpha kg, and the system still might not work.
Because the door's locked.
Because of physics.
Yeah.
This is where the paper shifts gears into mechanotransduction.
Mechanotransduction. I have to admit, this is the exact point where my brain usually tries to zone out. When biologists start talking about structural physics, it gets very abstract very fast. But the closed book analogy the author used really grounded it for me.
It's still definitely the best way to visualize it. We generally tend to think of our DNA as this loose, wavy string just floating freely in a pool of liquid. It's not. It is packed incredibly, impossibly tight. It's spooled around these proteins called histones. This whole tightly wound structure is called chromatin.
Like thread wound around a spool.
Even tighter than that. Imagine you have a coffee stain on page 50 of a massive hardcover book. You have the soap, the TE enzymes, you have the water. But the book itself is glued completely shut.
You can't clean the page if you physically can't open the book.
Exactly. In an aging cell, the chromatin tends to get highly compacted and rigid. The TKE enzymes are physically too large to squeeze in between the spools to get down to the DNA sequence.
So how on earth do we pry it open?
You have to physically pull it open.
Physically, like with actual mechanical force.
Literally with mechanical force. This is mechanotransduction. Your cells have an internal skeleton called the cytoskeleton. It's this complex web of structural fibers that holds the whole cell together and gives it its shape. And these fibers connect directly to the envelope of the nucleus.
Okay, and I'm following you.
When you move your body, and I mean real movement, stretching, loading the tissues under tension, that physical force pulls on the cytoskeleton. That pull travels down the fibers, reaches the nucleus, and physically stretches the chromatin.
That is wild to think about. So doing a deep stretch or lifting a heavy weight isn't just about working the muscle fibers. It's literally mechanically shaking the DNA open.
Yes, it creates a mechanical wave that travels straight to the nucleus. Combined with cellular energy ATP, this physical force relaxes the spooling. It pulls the book open. And suddenly those TET enzymes can slip right in and scrub the code.
This really explains that whole phrase, sitting is the new smoking. It's not just about burning fewer calories on the couch. If you sit totally still all day, your DNA stays locked up tight.
Yes, and the paper strongly warns about tissue stiffness. As we get older, we naturally get stiff. We develop fibrosis. If your tissues are like beef jerky, that mechanical wave simply can't travel through them. The signal gets blocked before it ever reaches the nucleus.
So you have to stay pliable. You need to keep the biological transmission lines open.
Which makes things like yoga, deep tissue massage, or even just regular full range of motion resistance exercise look a whole lot more like genetic medicine than just standard fitness. You are manually prying open the access panels for the cleaning crew.
Okay, so we've got the chemistry with the fuel and spark, and we've got the physics with the access. But the body is a highly efficient machine. It doesn't just run the cleaning crew 24/7. It needs a shift schedule.
Right. You don't try to mop the floors during the lunch rush. The cell needs a very clear trigger to switch into maintenance mode. The paper identifies two specific triggers that basically tell the crew, okay, clock in, start the shift.
The first one seemed a bit dangerous to me at first glance. Hypoxia, a lack of oxygen. I always thought oxygen was unconditionally good.
Oxygen is good, but a temporary drop in oxygen mild hypoxia acts as a massive wake-up call. We aren't talking about suffocating here. We are talking about hormesis, beneficial acute stress.
Like when you're out of breath at the top of a steep hill.
Exactly. That brief, sharp drop in available oxygen stabilizes a specific transcription factor called HIF-alpha.
HIF-alpha, and what does that do?
Think of it as an alarm bell. It yells at the mitochondria, hey, resources are getting tight. We need to become hyper-efficient immediately. And the mitochondria respond to that stress by flooding the cell with alpha-Kg.
Ah, it triggers the fuel surge.
Exactly. It kickstarts the whole cleaning process as a deep survival mechanism. This is why breathless exercise, or even things like sauna and ice bath contrast therapy, can be so incredibly effective. They mimic this precise biological stress signal.
So a little bit of intense stress wakes up the crew. But the second trigger they mentioned is the complete opposite of stress. It's sleep.
Deep sleep, specifically. And this involves a protein complex with, honestly, just a fantastic name, the dream complex.
The scientists actually named it the dream complex. That feels a little too perfect.
They really did. And paradoxically, its main job is to keep your DNA asleep. During the day, the dream complex binds to the chromatin and holds it tight and condensed. It's acting as a shield, protecting your fragile genes while you're walking around in the sunlight, dealing with pollution, UV rays, all that daytime stress.
Well, the guard is on duty.
But when you finally enter deep, slow-wave sleep at night, the levels of the dream complex naturally drop off.
The guard goes on break.
And the chromatin finally relaxes. The paper calls this the genomic accessibility rheostat. Deep sleep is the ultimate physical maintenance window. It's the only time the book is fully, widely open without the guard there, and the TET crew has free rein to scrub all the damage accumulated from the day.
That really hits home for me, because we always hear the generic advice to get 8 hours, but this puts a hard physical mechanism to it. If you cut your sleep to 5 hours, you aren't just feeling tired the next day, you have effectively locked the cleaning crew out of the building.
You miss the shift entirely, and that trash, those sticky metal tags, doesn't just vanish, it accumulates for the next day. That is exactly why chronic sleep deprivation looks so much like accelerated aging, because on a biological epigenetic level, it literally is.
So we have this incredible, elegant system. We know how to fuel it, we know how to pry it open, and we know what triggers it. But how do we actually know if it's working in our own bodies? The paper talks about measuring functional youth.
Right. Because the number of candles on your birthday cake, your chronological age, is completely irrelevant here. We are looking for something called the Repair Capacity Index, or RCI.
This was a totally new term for me. Break down the RCI.
So most traditional aging tests just measure accrued damage. They look at the odometer and say, oh, you have 100,000 miles on this car. The RCI doesn't care about the miles. It cares about the quality of the mechanic.
Okay, I like that.
It measures your active capacity to fix damage when it inevitably happens. Think about it. Two different people can sustain the exact same physical injury or catch the same viral infection. Person A bounces back overnight. Person B stays inflamed and exhausted for a week.
So person A has a high repair capacity.
Exactly. A youthful biological system is defined by its resilience, not its purity. It's entirely about how fast you can clear the clogs when they form.
And the paper suggests we can actually track this resilience with accessible metrics like heart rate variability or HRV.
HRV is a fantastic proxy for this. A high HRV means your autonomic nervous system is highly flexible. It can switch between a stress state and a rest state almost instantly. A low HRV means the system is rigid, it's clogged. It implies your underlying repair capacity is low because you're just stuck in stress mode all the time.
This is, honestly, it's incredibly hopeful. I came into this deep dive thinking we were just going to talk about strategies to mildly slow down an inevitable decline. But this reframes the whole picture of what aging even is.
It completely changes the definition. It's not things permanently breaking, it's a collapse of organization. It's analog noise taking over the digital signal.
And if it's just noise, we can tune it out. We can clear the signal.
We absolutely can.
So to wrap this up for everyone listening, we aren't just rusting buckets of bolts. We are highly sophisticated software systems that are just getting a little buggy over time.
And we actively possess the debugging tools.
We just need to give them what they need. We need the chemistry, eat foods that support mitochondrial health for that alpha Kg, and definitely don't skimp on the vitamin C so you keep the engine spark alive.
We need the physics. You have to move, you have to load your tissues, and you have to stretch. You need to physically pull open the DNA so the enzymes can actually reach the problem areas.
And we need the triggers. You absolutely need that deep sleep to drop the dream complex and let the overnight work happen.
And maybe throw in a little breathlessness now and then to ring the alarm bell and get the fuel flowing.
I really want to leave you with a thought from the conclusion of the paper that just stuck with me. The author says that the epigenetic clock isn't a countdown to death. It's a dial.
A dial that can be turned back.
Exactly. And if your body is a self-correcting system, which we've seen today that it is, think about what that means for tomorrow morning. When you choose to go for that run or eat that orange or just turn off the TV to get that extra hour of deep sleep, you aren't just broadly being healthy. You are literally handing the keys over to the cleaning crew.
You're clearing the noise so the music can keep playing.
I love that. Unclog your blueprint, folks. Think about how your everyday environment, the lighting, the noise around you, might be physically pushing on your DNA in ways we haven't even fully mapped yet. It puts you entirely in the driver's seat. Thanks for diving in with us.
Always a pleasure.
Catch you on the next one.